Let's see. Sister Cruz, please.
Jesus let them know that he was aware of all the wonderful things that they were doing, and so he commended them for that. So even though he was going to give them counsel, he still recognized and showed appreciation for their good deeds, even ended it on a positive note, commending them for their good deeds as well. No doubt that made it easier for them to accept the counsel he was giving them, and they would feel motivated by his appreciation to actually apply the counsel.
Very good. Thank you, Sister Cruz. Sister Lynn? Sister Lynn.
And he not only mentioned their good deeds, they also appreciate their motivation of why they do those things.
Yes, very good point indeed. Yeah. And Sister Wyrick, thank you, Sister Lynn.
Another point brought out is that he didn't have to thank them for the work they did for him, but even so, he did make a point of expressing appreciation, even though he didn't have to.
Yes, very good. So, what can we learn from that? What is the lesson for you and I that we must do? Brother Andrew Mann?
It's very important to express our appreciation and gratitude to others for their work. This is the only way that we'll have joy. If we want joy, the only way to have joy is to practice gratitude.
Okay, all right. And so suppose now we came to the meeting today and there was only our family sitting here in the Kingdom Hall and Brother Bingen and his family, and the talk started. Nobody else showed up but us and our family. How would we feel? And we want you to be honest about this. J-Don, please.
Obviously, we would feel hurt and betrayed that they didn't come, because they said, "Oh, well, we'll come," and then it's like, but after the time you said that they were gonna come, and then nobody's there. It's like, okay, why didn't you come?
I like the way he put it. That's the betrayal, the whole thing, you know. We will feel hurt. So when we come to the meeting, what should be our goal? What should we try and do? If you don't raise your hand, I'll probably have to call on you. There's a young sister back there. Sister Williams, please. Young Sister Williams.
Encouragement another.
Yes, encourage one another. And Sister Brown, please.
Show a lack of appreciation is not needed, but we should allow that appreciation to be shown to others.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Sister Brown. Sister Haida Hewitt, please, up front. Thank you, Josiah.
I mean, we're really happy to see everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if we came and nobody else showed up, that would be horrible. So we're so happy. And when new ones come, we're particularly happy.
Yes. So let's go do it. It's good to see you. You're here. That's wonderful. Yes, it's okay. That's the way we should do it. Okay, so that's this. Who especially, as the paragraph points out, who especially should do what Jesus did? We want one of the elders to do this for us. Brother Marin, please.
Well, as it brings out, he set an example for elders. So we should be the first ones to express our appreciation for everything.
Absolutely. Be kind, be generous in your commendation, and let's make everybody happy. We're going to enjoy the lasagna and stuff in the paradise one day, so let's make sure they show up there. So that brings us to another point in our lessons about showing appreciation. Let's look at some that showed a lack of appreciation. Paragraph 11, starting.
Sadly, some Bible characters displayed a lack of appreciation. For example, although Esau was raised by parents who loved and respected Jehovah, he lacked appreciation for sacred things. How did his ungrateful attitude become evident? Esau rashly sold his birthright to his younger brother Jacob for a mere bowl of stew. Later, Esau bitterly regretted the choice he had made, but he had been ungrateful for what he had. So he had no basis for complaining when he did not receive the birthright blessing.
And so, Brother, let's read Hebrews 12:16, please, first.
Hebrews 12:16. And watch that among you there is no one who is sexually immoral, nor anyone who does not appreciate sacred things like Esau, who gave up his rights as firstborn in exchange for one meal.
Thank you very much, Brother Odoy. Question 11 says, as shown at Hebrews 12:16, what attitude did Esau have regarding sacred things? Jaden?
It says that he had an ungrateful attitude. He was basically complaining like, oh wait, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? Can't I just go and have fun?
Okay. And it's found with the red suit, right? Red suit. Good. Sister Crochet, please. Thank you, Jaden.
So it shows how Esau, how he rashly sold his birthright to his younger brother. So he was impatient. He had this desire to satisfy his physical craving instead of valuing and appreciating the sacred blessing that he had already received, but he lacked appreciation for that.
Yes, thank you. And Sister Zeriel Bingen, please.
I was looking at Genesis 25, verse 32, where Esau says, here I am about to die, what use is this birthright to me? So it's funny because he's just being so dramatic. It's like, we know you're not going to starve, but he had a complete lack of appreciation, even though he was raised in the correct way.
Yes. Sister Newman, please.
I have had and enjoyed really tasty lentil stew, but it's not worth that much.
Yes, indeed. The whole birthright. Oh. Did Jacob pressure him? If you don't do this, I'm going to stab you at night in your tent. Did he? Brother Cruz?
No, and it really wasn't that difficult, as you can see. But the real problem was Esau didn't appreciate not the material part of the birthright, but really it was the spiritual part. It was that promise regarding the seed that was going to come through him. So he didn't appreciate that at all. He was willing to give that up just for a meal.
Yes, thank you, Brother Cruz. Brother Odoy?
Yes, and as Brother Cruz brought out that Jacob told him, okay, well, if you want this stew, give me a birthright. And Esau immediately, yeah, sure. And even Jacob explained to him what the birthright would be when he lost. He said, I don't care. So we see the total lack of appreciation for that. And there was no reason for him to be upset and complaining after he didn't get it, because he didn't care about it in the first place.
Yes. Later on, how did he feel, though, when the time came to pay? Brother, Sister Odoy, Gladys?
Well, he protested, but we noticed that Jehovah actually took notice of what he gave up. And so Jehovah maneuvered things in such a way that Jacob was the one that received all the blessings, because Jehovah took note of Esau's inappreciation.
Yes, and Esau wept loudly. The whole town could hear him weeping. Jehovah said no. Paragraph 12 through 13. Let's look at the Israelites.
The Israelites had many reasons for showing appreciation. They were freed from slavery after Jehovah brought the 10 plagues on Egypt. Then God saved them from disaster by destroying the entire Egyptian army in the Red Sea. The Israelites were so grateful that they sang a victory song of praise to Jehovah. But did they remain grateful? When the Israelites encountered new challenges, they soon forgot about all the good things Jehovah had done for them. Then they revealed their lack of appreciation. How? The entire assembly of the Israelites began to murmur against Moses and Aaron. In reality, murmuring against Jehovah. He was disappointed with the ungrateful attitude his people showed. He later foretold that this entire generation of Israelites would perish in the wilderness, with the exception of Joshua and Caleb. Let us see how we can avoid following these bad examples and imitate the good ones.
So question 12 through 13 says, how did the Israelites reveal a lack of appreciation, and what was the result? Brother McNaughton, up front, please.
They really had no reason to show a lack of appreciation. They saw the splitting of the Red Sea, they saw the 10 plagues, they were delivered by Jehovah. But sadly, the Israelites were very fickle, that when they experienced new encounters, they quickly forgot what had been already done. And they, after time and time again, they showed a lack of appreciation. And eventually the words in Numbers where it was foretold that they would perish in the wilderness.
Yeah, the whole nation, except for who? I mean, the whole nation, Sister Chamberlain. Thank you, Brother McNaughton.
Except for Joshua and Caleb, but along with Brother McNaughton's comment, actually Jehovah had sustained the Israelites with what they needed in the wilderness. And he lovingly provided them with food and with water. And so there was never a threat that they would die. And so what happened was they just had a spirit of discontentment. They lacked appreciation. Their gratitude was replaced by a spirit of discontentment. And so Jehovah was not in favor of them, and they began to start murmuring against Aaron and Moses, but it was really against Jehovah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Sister Chamberlain. So express appreciation next year. I don't think that's, I must be looking at the wrong. Oh, express appreciation today. That's better. Brother Odre, paragraphs 14 through 15, please.
In the family, the entire family benefits when each member expresses appreciation. The more marriage mates show gratitude to each other, the closer they become. They also find it easier to forgive each other's mistakes. A husband who appreciates his wife not only notices the good things she says and does, but also rises up and praises her. And as a wife lets her husband know specifically what she appreciates about him. Parents, how can you teach your children to show appreciation? Remember that your children will imitate what you say and do. So set a good example by saying thank you when your children do things for you. In addition, teach your children to say thank you when people do things for them. Help your children understand that expressing gratitude comes from the heart and that their words can do much good. For example, a young woman named Clary says, "At 32 years of age, my mother was suddenly left with 3 children to raise on her own. When I turned 32, I thought about how difficult it must have been for her at that age. So I told her how much I appreciate all that she sacrificed to raise my brothers and me. Recently, she told me that my words are very dear to her heart, that she often reflects on them, and that they always brighten her day."
Thank you very much, Brother Odoi. Question 14 and 15a says, how can marriage mates show that they appreciate each other? Sister Jeanette Merritt, please.
Probably as everyone knows, we've been married 52 years, and after many years, sometimes we take, sometimes we just take each other for granted, but my husband hasn't done that. He's always been very appreciative of all that I do, so I can be so happy that we become closer and closer together as we get even older.
Isn't that nice? Yes,
Amen.
indeed. I didn't catch that, brothers. Give it back to brother. Say it again.
Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah on that one. So very, very nice. So very. And something that it helps husbands and wives to do when they appreciate of each other. Because they're going to make mistakes. Everyone does. Brother Odro,
Well, it helps them to forgive each other when they make mistakes or when they wrong each other. Imagine if you were not appreciative of your mate and then they do something that makes you mad, and you'll just continue to fight about that one problem, and there's no peace in the house. But when you're appreciative, you guys can work it out and cover over it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Sister Hilliard, was that your same thought? Very good. Let's move on, friends. And let's look at question B. How can parents teach their children to show appreciation? How can parents do that? Let's start with some real nice parents. Sister Cunningham, please. Sister Gwen Cunningham.
Just like we discussed about how a husband appreciates his wife and the wife appreciates her husband, well, the children take notice of how they appreciate one another, and we're teaching them as we go. And so they learn by their example how to imitate from their parents to show appreciation. And we can also teach them, even at the Kingdom Hall, on how to appreciate our brothers and sisters.
Thank you very much. And Sister Bingen, please. Carolyn.
I know when our children were younger, it would just be a matter of really simple things like saying thank you to the friends who were kind to them. And now the younger parents, they have an opportunity from the JW.org to visually show their children how they can do that. And so there's so many little ways that we can help children build appreciation so when they're older, they don't take things for granted.
Thank you, Sister Bingham. Any comment on the picture that we have here? What is happening? Brother Cruz?
So in the first picture, we can see that the mother and her young daughter are preaching with an older sister in the congregation. And you can see right there the feeling. They're feeling that gratitude for her because they see her preaching even in difficult circumstances. And as she grows older, she continues to do so. And then afterwards, now you see them showing that appreciation by action, making a cake, something they can bring to her. And we can see the result is everyone is happy. And everyone's full too with cake, so it's wonderful all the way around.
Absolutely. I was hoping you'd comment on the cake. Thank you, Brother Cruz. Let's see, Sister Bingham, please. Zaria?
I may be staring too hard, but I was noticing that no one else has cake except for the older sister. And at gatherings and stuff, I always go last in the line and let the older friends go first, so that's what I noticed.
Yeah, that's pretty good observation there, isn't it? Yes. And so, what was the experience of a young woman of Clary? Clary. What is the experience about her? Sister Newman?
She relates how at 32 years of age, her mother was suddenly left with 3 children to raise on her own. So when Clary turned 32, she thought about just how difficult it must have been for her mom at that age to handle that task well. So she took action and she told her mom how much she appreciated all that mom sacrificed to raise herself and her brothers. And then she says, recently, Mom told me that my words were very dear to her heart and that she often reflects on them and that they always brighten her day.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, these days, we have our cell phones and they have recorders in them. And so if they start I was going to use the word spew, but that's not the right word. But if they start telling us how much they appreciate it, why not record it on your iPhone and keep it? Then during the dark days, you can listen to it. You to brighten it. Sister Jeanette Marin, please.
It's she was 64 years old then by that time when her daughter was 32.
Mm-hmm.
So during those other years, you know, maybe her daughter had said things verbally or didn't say it quite like that, so that it really affected her. And so when you're 64 and you look back and you think, oh, how wonderful it was that my daughter finally came to write it or give me that wonderful commendation.
Yes, absolutely. Brother Marin, please, right there.
And I was thinking too, undoubtedly, this family was in the truth. And so the mother could really appreciate that comment from her daughter because their daughter was in the truth too. And so it was really heartwarming to get something like that from a sibling, or not a sibling, but a progeny, that your efforts were worthwhile the whole time.
Yes, absolutely. And so let's look at an example of how expressing appreciation can encourage others in the congregation. Paragraph 16, please, Brother.
When we express appreciation to our brothers and sisters, we encourage them. For example, Jorge, a 28-year-old elder, became seriously ill. He could not attend meetings for a month. Even after returning to the meetings, he was still not able to handle parts on the program. Jorge admits, "I felt worthless because of my limitations and my inability to handle congregation responsibilities. But after one meeting, a brother told me, 'I want to thank you for the fine example you have set for my family. You have no idea how much we have enjoyed your talks during the past few years. They have helped us to grow spiritually.' I choked up, and my eyes filled with tears. His words were exactly what I needed to hear."
So question 16 says, give an example of how expressing appreciation can encourage others. Give an example. The one mentioned here in this back. Sister Hewitt, please.
Jorge was 28 years old, and he became seriously ill. And after a while, a family expressed appreciation for the parts that he had, and he said it was so encouraging to him. So that's so good for us to realize that when friends are sick and when they come back, that we need to express that to them.
Yes, thank you very much. And Brother Lim, please.
Not many of us can give verbal expressions to congregation members, but sometimes there are things that we can say, we cannot say, right? Then we can, of course, write something. Then it's well thought out, well presented and all that, and you feel good about it. And when the person replies, you really feel good about it. Sometimes I read the message a few times because I like the response. That's why sometimes email and messaging is very important if we cannot talk too much.
Very good, thank you. Thank you, Brother Harris, please.
When I was reading this paragraph, it came home to me because I've been sick for 6 weeks. The body of elders and the ministerial servants, as I was scheduling and I had parts that I couldn't do and I put out the word, literally, I'd send a text message out and in 3 minutes, 5 minutes, somebody would say, "I'll take the part." I've received cards, letters, text messages, calls from the congregation. There is no feeling like having family. Recognize that you're not doing too well, but we miss you, and can we bring you some food, whatever. Really, really faith strengthening.
Yes, and that's because we have such great affection for you. We didn't want you dying on us. Taking the cheap road to the paradise. So.
Yes, and I was thinking about how the brother, he's a 28-year-old elder, and so he's still young, and so if he's ill and he's not able to do much, he might feel discouraged and might feel that he's not doing as much as he can, even though he feels like he should be, because he's at a young age. And so when the brother approached him and wanted to thank him so much, and how encouraged he felt, that's a good reminder for us that when, as brought out by many comments, that when brothers or sisters are not feeling well, and when they come back, we want to just encourage them and show them so much love and affection, because that is what probably will help them to get back to what they were doing before.
Yes, thank you very much for your doing. And so now let's move on to paragraph 17, and let's see how you and I can show appreciation to Jehovah for his generosity towards us.
Jehovah has given us an abundance of spiritual food. For example, we receive helpful instruction through our meetings, our magazines, and our websites. Have you ever heard a talk, read an article, or watched a broadcast and thought, that is just what I needed? How can we show our appreciation to Jehovah? One way is by regularly thanking him in our prayers for these good gifts.
Yes. And so, Brother, could you read for us Colossians 3:15, please?
Colossians 3:15. Also, let the peace of the Christ rule in your hearts, for you are called to that peace in one body, and show yourselves thankful.
Question 17 says, as mentioned in Colossians 3:15, how can we show appreciation to Jehovah for his generosity? How can we do that? Brother Compton, please.
Well, we thank Jehovah during our prayers, just like the scripture says in Colossians 3:15, that every good and every perfect present is from above, coming from our Father's celestial lights. So we thank Jehovah, but how we really show him we be thankful is we use all these things that he's given us, the magazines, the websites, and the spiritual food, and we use them to try to help other persons, and that's how we really show we really appreciate it. We just don't take it for granted, but we use it in the ministry, and we thank him for it by means of prayer.
Thank you very much. And now, in a restaurant, when do we call a waiter? In a restaurant. Sister Ortiz?
When we need something.
Okay. So, what about Jehovah? When do we talk to him? To show that he's not a waiter. We're not in the Kingdom restaurant. Zaria, please.
We shouldn't just call on Jehovah when we need him, but we should also call on him to show our appreciation.
Yes. So in our prayers, let's do that. Thank him for everything we can think of. And then we can ask for our daily bread. Okay, now let's move on to paragraph 18. Thank you, Sister Bingham.
We also express appreciation to Jehovah when we keep our place of worship clean and tidy. We share regularly in cleaning and maintaining our kingdom halls, and those who handle electronic equipment used by their congregation do so carefully. When we maintain our kingdom halls properly, they will last longer and will need fewer major repairs. That way, we make more money available to build and renovate other kingdom halls around the world.
And so question 18 says, in what ways might we show appreciation to our kingdom hall? And please comment on the video picture that we have. In what ways might we show appreciation? Brother Abraham? Nick?
In the way of when we use the tools to clean the kingdom hall, we use them carefully and with respect and this is Jehovah's kingdom hall, so we clean it for our benefit and to show respect to Jehovah.
Okay, very good. All right. Thank you. Appreciate all those fine comments, friends. And so as we see in the picture, who is cleaning? Jada?
We see a young man cleaning the kingdom hall.
Yeah, I thought you would mention that. Thank you. Very good. Okay, now let's move on to paragraph 19, and let's see.
When we express appreciation, our words might change the way a person feels about challenges that he or she faces. Consider the experience of one circuit overseer and his wife. After a long winter's day in the ministry, they returned to their accommodations exhausted. It was so cold that the wife slept in her winter coat. In the morning, she told her husband that she felt unable to continue in the traveling work. Later that very morning, a letter from the branch office arrived, and it was addressed to her. The letter warmly commended her for her ministry and endurance. It acknowledged how difficult it can be to move from one accommodation to the next every week. Her husband says, she was so touched by that commendation that she never again spoke of leaving the traveling work. In fact, several times she encouraged me to continue when I thought of quitting. That couple remained in the traveling work for almost 40 years.
Question 19 says, what did you learn from the experience of one circuit overseer and his wife? What did you learn? Brother Odoi?
Well, we see here that and circuit overseers and the wives have a very difficult responsibility as well. They're going every single week to a different congregation, and oftentimes it can be very difficult circumstances. And so we have the example here of a circuit overseer and his wife after a long winter's day of out in service. They get back home and it's very cold there, And so the wife had to sleep in her winter coat. And so she expressed to her husband that she thought of quitting. And that same day, later that morning, the branch sends her a warm, a loving letter, letting her know that they appreciate her and appreciate the work that she's done. And that helped her so much that she was able to continue on in the traveling work, even encouraging her husband, who he thought of quitting, to continue to go. And they did almost for 40 years.
Yes, indeed. Very good. Sister Hilliard, please. Sister Hilliard.
So I learned that warm commendation, especially a written letter, and encouragement can go a long way, can help someone to endure. And we want to encourage our friends to endure.
Yes, thank you very much. Let's move on to paragraph 20. Let's see what you and I should try and do each day.
May we try each day to show ourselves thankful by what we say and do. Our heartfelt words or actions may be just what another person needs to make it through one more day in this unthankful world. Our expressions of thanks will build bonds of friendship that can last forever. Most important, we will be imitating our generous, appreciative Father, Jehovah.
And so question 20 says, what should we try to do each day and why? Sister Damala, please.
Each day we want to show ourselves thankful by what we say and do, because it doesn't take a special occasion. Maybe not necessarily a person's been sick. Maybe they haven't done anything spectacular or something we've all heard about in the pioneer work or whatever. They're just coming to all the meetings. They're always showing up. They're here. And so we could express our appreciation for just the fact that they're here.
Yes, thank you very much, Sister Demaro. Sister Sandra Martinez, please.
And as the paragraph says, we know that our expressions of thanks will build bonds of friendship that will last forever.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. And Brother Bingham, Chase?
Every day when I pray to Jehovah, I try to think of one more thing I can be thankful for, because sometimes when you're really tired or really hungry, you're just, let me do this robot prayer and get it over with. But then I think to myself, Jehovah works every day to make sure that I get what I need, so it's really important that I make sure I thank Him every day for what I get.
Thank you. And Sister Mary Jeanette?
I'm sure we have a lot of things to be thankful for, but when I walked in the Kingdom Hall this afternoon, there was no one in here. It was empty, and it was so beautiful, and I said, I really thank Jehovah so much that we have a beautiful place to meet. And so just because of this article, we start looking around and seeing things that we can be truly thankful for.
Thank you, Sister Mary. We appreciate those fine comments from everyone. So, friends, that brings us to the end of our Watchtower lesson for today. We'd like to look at the review question. How would you answer? Why should we express appreciation to others? Why? Brother Tillahun?
First, it makes us imitate Jehovah. Second, for us and for the person we express our gratitude, it makes our relationship stronger.
Yes, thank you. What Bible examples show genuine appreciation in action? What Bible examples? Sister Roque?
Clearly, David and Asa, they deeply expressed appreciation of Paul by writing psalm and song of praise to give thanks to the Jehovah and declare their great feelings for Jehovah's marvelous work.
Very good. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. How can we show heartfelt appreciation today? How can we show it? Ian Larry?
By being thankful and expressing our gratitude from heartfelt prayer to Jehovah.
Yes, yes, that's one way. Brother Marion, John?
And also by not only thanking Jehovah verbally, but by speaking about Him, by doing what His bidding, by trying to bring our lives into conformity with His will, and helping others in our family, in our congregation, but also in the world too.
Very good. Thank you very much, Brother Mayor. We appreciate that. So, friends, that brings us to the end of our Watchtower lesson for today. We appreciate all your fine comments. And, Brother Odo, we want to thank you very much for the beautiful reading for us. And thank all of your attendants for the sound and running with the mics. We really made them run today. And also keeping us secure in our kingdom home. We just have one reminder that there will be a meeting for field service at 3 p.m. in front of the stage, and I will be organizing that. And so now I would like you to stand, if you're able to do so, as we sing together one of our beautiful songs, song number 20. So let's sing with heartfelt appreciation to Jehovah. You gave your precious son, and then we'll invite Brother Bingen back to the platform to represent us before Jehovah. It's song number 20.
Jehovah God, our most kind, loving Heavenly Father, grand instructor, indeed how grateful we are for the gift, this great gift, the wonderful gift that you've given us of your dear Son, Father, a gift that makes it possible to be able to enjoy life, the real life, Father, in the coming new world. We thank you so much for instructing us on this very important subject of gratitude. You know, it's one thing to be grateful, but it's so important that we express it, Father, so that we can have others to be joyful as well, Father, for receiving such grateful attitude. We thank you so much for instructing us in that. May we do, Father, put forth effort to show that to demonstrate that we want to live in a cleansed earth. May we take to heart all the suggestions we receive through your organization, Father, put them into practice, and also help others to come to an appreciation, Father, of you and what you have in store for us. We would remiss, Father, if we didn't ask for your Spirit to continue to be with the faithful slave as they endeavor to teach us at the proper time, Father, what we need to do so that we can always have your approval. As we get ready to go out different ways, Father, we ask for your Spirit to be upon those that will be out in the ministry. May they be put forth effort to put into practice the suggestions we receive, Father, so that we can reach teachable ones. And whatever activities will be involved, and may we keep in mind, Father, who we represent, and that is you, the great and clean God. So we thank you for these things. We ask for forgiveness for our sins and shortcomings. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. You've always been going to do?
Please put that away.
Oh, okay.
Are you going to talk to this is right there? David is there, so I'm going home straight there. And you got to
You're coming too.
Let's see. Sister Cruz, please.
Well, Jesus let them know that he was aware of all the wonderful things that they were doing, and so he commended them for that. But even though he was going to give them counsel, he still recognized and showed appreciation for their good deeds, even ended it on a positive note, commending them for their good deeds as well. No doubt that made it easier for them to accept the counsel he was giving them, and they would feel motivated by his appreciation to actually apply the counsel.
Very good. Thank you, Sister Cruz. Sister Lynn? Sister Lynn.
And he not only mentioned their good deeds, and to also appreciate their motivation of why they do those things.
Yes, very good point indeed. Yeah. And Sister Wyrick, thank you, Sister Lynn.
Another point he brought out is that he didn't have to thank them for the work they did for him, but even so, he did make a point of expressing appreciation, even though he didn't have to.
Yes, very good. So, what can we learn from that? What is the lesson for you and I that we must do? Brother Andrew Mann?
It's very important to express our appreciation and gratitude to others for the work. This is the only way that we'll have joy. If we want joy, the only way to have joy is to practice gratitude.
Okay, all right. And so suppose now we came to the meeting today and there was only our family sitting here in the Kingdom Hall and Brother Bingen and his family, and the talk started. Nobody else showed up but us and our family. How would we feel? And we want you to be honest about this. J-Dog, please.
Obviously, we would feel hurt and betrayed that they didn't come because they said, "Oh, well, we'll come," and and then it's like, but after the time you said that they were gonna come, and then nobody's there. It's like, okay, why didn't you come?
I like the way he put it. The betrayal, the whole thing, you know. We will feel hurt. So when we come to the meeting, what should be our goal? What should we try and do? If you don't raise your hand, I'll probably have to call on you. There's a young sister back there. Sister Williams, please. Young Sister Williams.
Encouragement another.
Yes, encourage one another. And Sister Brown, please.
Show a lack of appreciation is not needed, but we should allow that appreciation to be shown to others.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Sister Brown. Sister Haida Hewitt, please, up front. Thank you, Josiah.
I mean, we're really happy to see everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if we came and nobody else showed up, that would be horrible. So we're so happy. And when new ones come, we're particularly happy.
Yes. So let's go do it. It's good to see you. You're here. That's wonderful. Yes, it's okay. That's the way we should do it. Okay, so that's this. Who especially, as the paragraph points out, who especially should do what Jesus did. We want one of the elders to do this for us. Brother Merritt, please.
Well, as it brings out, he set an example for elders. So we should take be the first ones to express our appreciation for everything.
Absolutely. Be kind, be generous in your commendation, and let's make everybody happy. We're going to enjoy the